Welcome to the 2018 CPGM Interactive Mock Draft. I'm your host, Juice, joined by Headley and Drew to my right. How's it going, gentlemen?
We're doing pretty good, man.
Speak for both of you.
Right. My bad. You having a bad time, bro?
No. Everything's good over here, man. I'm just, really looking forward to getting into this draft.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. We have a lot to get to. It's the first round of our interactive mock draft. CouchPotatoGM.com is the website. Please check us out there. If you're watching this video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, and comment on this video. Gentlemen, before we the draft actually gets underway, what are you expecting, Headley? What are you anticipating? What are the major headlines in this draft?
I'm just really looking at the quarterback position. Every team, there's a lot of teams in this draft that wants their franchise quarterback. We have Cleveland at 1, the Giants at 2, the Jets at 3. Even Denver could be in the market for a quarterback. And then you have teams on the outside of the top 10 like Miami, Buffalo, Arizona that are looking to trade up. I know the Bills definitely looking to trade up. So it'd be interesting to see where these quarterbacks land. What about you, Drew?
I mean, I'm looking for some action. You have Cleveland, who's at 1, who's got 2 picks in this draft, and at 4. I think there's going to be a lot of trades, man. I think there's a lot of people at home right now, people that play in the league, players that, you might need to have your bags packed because you might be on the way out to another team, man. You might be going from LA to what we call here at Couch Potato General Manager is Siberia, man, for wide receivers.
It's a cold world out there.
It is a cold world. Sammy knows a little bit about it.
Indeed. Just a little housekeeping to do before we get into the actual draft. There was a pre-draft move made. The Dolphins received the 4th overall pick from the Cleveland Browns. The Browns actually received Juwan James' 11th overall pick and the 42nd pick, as well as the 2019 3rd-round pick. Again, before the clock actually begins on the Browns at number 1, what do you guys think of that particular trade?
Looks like the Dolphins are trading up for a quarterback. It looks like they see a guy that they love, and they want to acquire a quarterback. It seems like the end of the Ryan Tannehill era in Miami. The Browns, they have the number 1 pick, so presumably looks like they're going to get their quarterback, and they got some extra picks, and they added a right tackle that could come in and start right away for these guys.
I second that.
Thank you for that spot-on analysis, Drew. Got
a second.
The Cleveland Browns are on the clock. Headley, you did allude to the fact that you believe that they are going to take their quarterback. The Browns have been starved for a quarterback for basically the entirety of the franchise's existence. We're talking Brandon Weeden, we're talking about Johnny Manziel. Who's the number 1 quarterback in this class?
I got Josh Rosen at the top, man. I know there's issues about personality concerns. He has the injury risk, but you put on the tape, you watch the film, you see the mechanics, you see the footwork, you see him play the quarterback position from within the pocket. I think Josh Rosen's the number 1 guy. I don't think it's close.
So, Drew, what do you think? Do you think the Browns stay pat at 1? Do they move down? Again, they've already made a move. It's hard to believe that they would then trade out of the 1st pick overall when they desperately need a quarterback.
They desperately need, but don't they have Tyrod Taylor?
They do.
I mean, he's supposed to be that bridge guy, I guess.
Sure.
So maybe they don't go quarterback. If it's me, I do go quarterback. I mean, but we are talking about the Cleveland Browns. I mean, obviously, I guess it doesn't matter who's the GM, who's the coach. Things just seem to not go right in Cleveland. Ask Johnny Manziel. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, man. Tyrod's there. They got a bridge, man. So
The Browns have a few more minutes on the clock. Let's cut over to our correspondent. Just to make sure that our audience understands, Saxonville Psycho is the GM in Cleveland, member of the Couch Potato General Manager family. He is on the clock. Again, he's already made a move, and I believe the pick is in. Any guesses, fellas?
I'm gonna slide over with Headley. I'm gonna go Josh Rosen.
I'm gonna go Sam Darnold. I think Josh Rosen made it apparent to the Browns that he doesn't want to play in Cleveland. He's kind of backtracked on that, but Sam Darnold has huge upside, so I think he's the number 1 pick here.
All right, let's go to the podium. And the pick is Saquon Barkley, the running back out of Penn State. Wow, didn't see that one coming. Actually, there was a lot of discussion whether or not he would be the first overall pick, but he happens to go first. We haven't had a running back go first overall since, I believe, 1995, if I'm not mistaken.
Another Penn State back.
Another Penn State back, Kajana Carter, to the Cincinnati Bengals. He obviously didn't have a very good career. Yeah.
This is no Kajana Carter. He's one of the top 2 safest
To be fair to Kajana Carter, he got hurt. This is before, you know, everybody's ACL could miraculously be repaired by Dr. James Andrews. So, you know, when you got a knee injury during that time, your career was over. Just to be fair to Kajana Carter out there.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it again. This is not a Kajana Carter guy. This is Saquon Barkley. He is the top 2, if not the best player in the NFL draft. I think he's one of the safest picks. So I'm not mad at Cleveland. Just, you know, it's a risky pick at this selection because, you know, there's a lot of quarterback hungry teams. Their next pick is at number 4. Oh no, they traded out to 4. Yep. Their next pick is at number 11. So they must think Tyrod Taylor's going to take them through the season, man. So we'll see.
Browns do what Browns do, man. As for Saquon Barkley, man, he's a hell of a player, man. Like Headley said, you know, he's a top 2, you know, player in this draft. You know, he's not my number 1, but we'll get to him soon enough. But you know, it's a hell of a pick, man. I'm a little perplexed.
Perplexed.
Why they would
That's
go?
a word.
Yeah, perplexed. Why they would go with Saquon Barkley? I know he's a hell of a player, but you do have Carlos Hyde, correct? You do have Duke Johnson on the squad. But I don't know why we went Saquon. I mean, are those pieces being sold? Are those bags packed, ready to go to be traded off? Because I'm trying to figure out. You know, you can only play 2 running backs at a time on the field. That would make sense to me. So,
sure.
You know, I don't understand why we went Saquon Barkley here, but I understand it from a talent standpoint.
Sure. You know, we mentioned it the last time a running back was taken first overall was in 1995. Kajana Carter.
ACL.
Kajana Carter.
ACL.
He had an ACL injury. It's hard to hold that against him. At any rate, it's nearly unheard of. We actually went through about a 3-year spell where no running backs were selected in the first round, and everything has changed. You know, there's been a changing of the guard back to how it used to be, where teams built their offenses through the running back position, and this is the cream of the crop here with the running back going first overall. Headley, as far as the Browns are concerned, do you care for the fit? You got Hugh Jackson, Todd Haley in there. What do you think about the fit? How is he going to be deployed in their offense?
Hey, you draft a running back number 1, you better use him, man. You got to give him carries. You got to feed this guy. Not sure Duke Johnson. He might be a piece now that you want to move later on, maybe. It's just too much running backs. You know, that's not going to get enough touches. So
Sure.
Saquon Barkley is the bell cow. He's the number 1 pick, and you know they're going to use him similar to how the Cowboys used Ezekiel Elliott when he was a number 4 pick.
All right. Well, that being said, the New York Giants are on the clock, and gentlemen, I think a lot of people are of the mindset that it's time to look for that replacement for Eli Manning, the next quarterback in line, the heir apparent. Now is a good opportunity to actually draft that quarterback. You have your pick of the litter, considering that the Browns didn't select a quarterback number 1 overall. You bring that guy in, presumably he plays behind or he studies behind Eli Manning for a year or 2, and then he becomes the guy. What do you think about that line of thought? What do you think the Giants will actually do, Drew?
I think they end up trading the pick. I think they trade it and they load up with you know, younger talent. You know, obviously their O-line is you know, they got Nate Solder in free agency, and they're trying to maybe square that away with David Gettleman. Dave Gettleman, you know, he's already stated basically that, you know, Eli's their guy for now. They are in a position, like you said, to draft a quarterback, but I mean, you got the best player in the draft right there in front of your face. His name is Quentin Nelson. You need help on your offensive line. You sealed one thing away with your left tackle with Nate Solder. They're paying him, you know, $62 million, and now you have a chance to solidify that side of your line, putting Quentin Nelson at left guard. Or, you know, you traded JPP. You could go Bradley Chubb from NC State. So, you know, I go Nelson, man. He's the best player in the draft. Don't overthink this, man. Do the right thing, man.
Where is Nelson on the big board?
He's number 1. He's at the top of the Couch Potato GM's big board on CouchPotatoGM.com. And I agree with Drew. I think Quentin Nelson is a pick here. The Giants was one of the worst teams running the football last season. So to add a Nate Solder in free agency and put a Quinn Nelson next to him,
Yeah.
hey, no matter what running backs back there, whether it's Wayne Gallman, another back you draft later on,
Paul Perkins.
Okay. Hey, just run left. Run left, New York.
Run left.
Draft Quentin Nelson and run left.
Absolutely, absolutely. A couple more minutes on the clock for the Giants. We're going to once again go out to our correspondent to let us know what's going on in the New York Giants war room. Looks like the pick is in. And it's going to be the defensive end out of North Carolina State, Bradley Chubb. Gentlemen, what do you think about this pick?
I mean, you got to make up for the loss of JPP, man. You're bringing in a guy who sets the edge. I call him the edge setter, man, because that's his best quality that I've seen on tape is that he sets the edge, man. He's not a phenom like last year's Myles Garrett, but you know he's an edge setter, and he's got a couple of moves to get around the edge to get to the quarterback, man. So you know he's a hell of a player, man. He's the best defensive end in the class in this class. So.
They get their JPP replacement, and one thing Bradley Chubb's going to bring is tenacity. He's going to become a leader in this locker room, and he's going to get after the quarterback. So, you know, I love the pick of Bradley Chubb. I'm not mad at it. It was either Quentin Nelson or Bradley Chubb there, and the Giants chose defense. So, good pick from the Giants.
The Jets are now on the clock. I just want to talk about Bradley Chubb a little bit more. You know, Drew, you mentioned that he isn't necessarily the physical freak that Myles Garrett is, but all the production is there. Relentless motor, technique is fantastic, balance, power. He's really the complete product. Again, he's not the most sparky of all defensive ends, certainly, but he is incredibly balanced. Do you think he is a scheme-specific guy, or can he play in any scheme?
I would prefer him in a 4-3, but I believe he can play in any scheme. But obviously, you know, the biggest thing when you draft the players, you want to put them in their best position possible to succeed. So, you know, a 4-3 end would be, you know, ideal.
All right. 2 picks in, no quarterbacks off the board. Let's see if the Jets will actually take a quarterback at number 3.
Oh. Sources.
Yeah, sources.
Sources are telling me that there's a trade, a big trade coming through the wire, man.
What are the details of that trade?
The Jets, and the Giants and the Jaguars. A 3-team trade, guys.
3-team trade.
Yes.
NBA style.
The Giants trade up to number 3.
The Giants who just picked Bradley Chubb.
Yes.
Back in the top 5.
Get another pick at number 3. Wow. Get this, guys. They traded Odell Beckham and Eli Manning. Odell Beckham goes to the Jets. Eli Manning goes to the Jaguars. And the Jets also received Blake Bortles in this trade, guys.
What is going on? Quarterbacks on the move. Quarterbacks on the move.
Absolutely. We'll make sure that we get all the details for that trade. There may be a couple other pieces that haven't necessarily come down the pipe just yet. But you know, before we get to the Giants making their second selection in the top 3, the move of Odell Beckham, what does that mean in terms of the landscape? Obviously for the Giants, but in terms of the landscape of the NFL, he's now in the AFC with the Jets.
Odell, he stays in New York. He's going to play in the same stadium. He had Blake Bortles. The Jets they're a new look offense. You know, they gave away the number 3 pick and also a couple other picks. So, you know, they're not drafting too much left in this draft. So it's Odell Beckham, Blake Bortles, and the landscape of the AFC. It's still the Patriots division at the end of the day. But you know, this is a bold and risky move for the New York Jets. They could have had their choice at any quarterback. They went Blake Bortles. Not a big fan of the trade for the Jets. I would have probably chosen Josh Rosen, but we'll see what Blake Bortles and the Jets do this season.
It looks like GM Anthony Servino and GM Dan Siegel, they got on the phone and they hammered out the details of this particular deal. My question to you, Drew, is the quarterback situation in New York. For either New York franchise, you know, the Jets, they re-signed Josh McCown, they bring in Teddy Bridgewater on the flyer. You're thinking, okay, maybe a little bit later they'll go and grab a quarterback that still may come to pass. But they swing for the fences here with Odell Beckham, and they also acquired Bortles from the Jaguars. So is it going to be a 3-man competition? Is Bortles the guy? What's happening at the quarterback position for the Jets?
It's WrestleMania over there. It's a battle royale, man. It's it's whoever comes out on top, you know, between those three guys. My money, you know, right now, initially, is probably going to be on McCown. But it wouldn't surprise me if Teddy overtakes. I think Blake Bortles is coming in third. I'm not really sure why he was in the deal. Maybe it was one of those deals, you know, in the NBA they do things where they take on contracts. Maybe they just took on that contract as a favor to, you know, to aid in the trade. As for Odell, man, this is crazy. This is crazy. This is a team who, you know, the Jets, you know, they were left for dead, man. Couch Potato GM, we left them for dead, didn't we?
Yeah.
Last year, man. And Todd Bowles and staff, they got it together, man. They added some attitude, some passion, and they made a run, man. You know, and so, you know, the thing they were lacking was playmakers, man.
Sure.
And they got their playmaker in Odell here, man. It's a hefty price, man. But like Headley said earlier, man, it's still the Patriots division, but we'll see about the move, man. I'm not sure I would have made it, but I understand the move.
Yeah, I think what's interesting here also is the Jaguars getting Eli Manning. They get an upgrade at the quarterback position. We said it last year, the Jaguars are a quarterback away.
Yeah.
With that defense, Jalen Ramsey, Boye, Telvin,
that's all they needed.
They needed a quarterback. Put them. They got Leonard Fournette in the backfield. They got Norwell in the offseason, in free agency. So this team is set, man. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars, are a scary team here. And the Giants, they got to go quarterback, right? They just traded Eli Manning.
Imagine so.
I mean, I hope so. Otherwise, somebody might be losing their job, and they just got the job. I hope that's what's happening. But again, we'll see, man. Teams do silly things, man.
All right. Well, the pick is in for the Giants at the 3rd overall selection. It's Quentin Nelson. Top player on the CPGM, big board, guard out of Notre Dame. You imagine he just slides right in. We discussed it. We discussed it maybe at 2. That the Giants might take Quentin Nelson to play him next to Nate Solder, really improve that offensive line. Drew, what do you think about that particular selection?
Run left. Run left, man. It's Nate Solder, left tackle. Nelson, left guard. Run left, man. Doesn't matter who's in the backfield. You know, I just wonder who's playing quarterback right now. Is it Davis Webb?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They drafted him last season, but it's a new regime here in New York. The GM is no longer there.
Gino's not there either. Yeah,
Gino is not there.
So what are they doing? And by the way, who they throwing the ball to? Because we know what that team looks like without Odell, right?
We do.
So I understand about the trenches, and you're trying to get the trenches right.
Absolutely.
But you may what Mama used to say: cut off your nose to spite your face.
This appears to be a full rebuild in New York. You know what I mean? That, you know, Eli Manning, their most decorated quarterback in the history of the franchise. He is now in Jacksonville on a team that's poised to make a Super Bowl run. Odell Beckham, their best player, is no longer wearing that blue. He's going to be playing in the same stadium, same city, but it's going to be for the New York Jets. So it'll be interesting to see. The Browns, as we mentioned before, they traded out of the 4th overall pick, and the Dolphins are now on the clock. What's going on in Miami, Headley? You know, there's a lot of talent just exiting stage left in Miami. You know, Jay Ajayi during the season last year, he went on to win a championship with the Philadelphia Eagles. There's no longer Ndamukong Suh. Jarvis Landry is now a Cleveland Brown. What's going on? What's the state of Miami?
Honestly, I think it starts in the locker room, man. They're trying to, you know, get rid of some guys that, you know, might have been malcontent personalities. Who knows? But they're trying to clean the locker room, bring in some players, some leaders, some veterans. They brought in Robert Quinn, Danny Amendola. So, you know, I just don't understand what they're trying to do. I know they got rid of Jarvis Landry and Jay Ajayi, but at the same time, it's, you know, are you rebuilding? Are you going older? Are you getting veterans? You trying to win it? What's up with your quarterback? You know, there's a lot of question marks in Miami right now, and it'd be really interesting to see what they pick here at number 4.
What was the receiver they added to? Was another receiver?
Albert Wilson.
Albert Wilson.
Overpaid. $8 million a year?
Yeah, it's crazy.
7.
I think it was 8.
7, 8. Both of them is too much.
Was that 4 for 32?
Yeah.
You know,
and they didn't want to pay Landry. That didn't make a whole lot of sense.
Again, what are they doing in Miami? You know, you said
question.
You said talent is exiting stage left, right?
And what's strange about the Miami situation is that that's one of the position groups that they have a bevy of talent. You know, Devontae Parker, you know, his injuries been a little inconsistent. He hasn't been on the field enough, but he's a talented player. You obviously had Juice Landry, who's been phenomenal over the first 4 years of his career. Jakeem Grant, Leonte Carew, they've invested so much draft capital in that position group, yet you let your best receiver, your most accomplished receiver walk, and then apparently you're not going to give the Carews and Jakeem Grants an opportunity because you brought in Albert Wilson. You paid Albert Wilson and Danny Amendola.
And the weird thing is this is the same regime who drafted those players that you're speaking of, which doesn't make sense. So I couldn't tell you what Miami's going to do with this pick. If they gave it away for a box of donuts, Krispy Kreme style, and they're not hot, it wouldn't surprise me. To be honest with you.
No, I like my Krispy Kremes warm.
Yeah,
personally.
Miami's going by when the light's not on.
Ouch.
Yeah. So hey.
Ouch.
Oh,
what you got?
another trade.
What are you saying? What do you mean?
Wow, the New York Giants made another move in this draft.
What do you mean? How is it possible that?
Another move. What's the move?
They moved up to number 4. Miami has traded back.
What is happening?
I don't know, man. Dan Siegel at Dan Siegel Uncut. This he gave up the 29th pick, the 34th pick, the 1st, 2nd, and 4th round pick of the next year's draft.
Wow.
He's trading the farm.
So they punted next year.
They pretty much punted next year.
But aren't they rebuilding? It seems counterintuitive.
Hey.
But this has to be a quarterback. It has to be a quarterback.
Yeah, has to be a quarterback here. No Eli Manning. Davis Webb is not the guy. So, they landed Bradley Chubb and Quentin Nelson in the trenches, a top 2 pick. So, I think they're going to get the number 1 quarterback on the board here.
It's interesting. Prior to the draft, the GM of the Dolphins at Dynasty Dorks traded up to the 4th overall spot and just decided, you know what, I can't pass up this slew of commodities for this 4th overall selection. We were just talking about what is Miami doing. I think considering that there's so much talent that has exited out of Miami, this move gives them an opportunity to restock that roster, replenish that roster in relatively short order. The pick is in for the Giants, and they've selected quarterback Sam Darnold out of USC.
Clapping it up.
Yeah.
You like that pick?
Or you like the pick?
I like it. I like the pick. I'm doing it a little sarcastically because they finally did what they needed to do. They sold the farm to do it. They went in the trenches. They got Bradley Chubb with the 1st pick. They went out and they got the best player in the draft, and Quentin Nelson, by solidifying the left side of their line. And then they turn around and obviously they gave up Eli and Odell, and they end up with Sam Darnold. They got their guys.
They got their guys.
They got the number 1 quarterback in their eyes on their board. They got the number 1 offensive lineman on their board, and they got the number 1 defensive lineman on the board. Yeah. I don't know who he's throwing the ball to.
Yeah.
But
they did get Robbie Anderson back from the Jets.
Like I said, I don't know who they're throwing the ball to.
Sure.
But they got their guys.
Yeah, they clearly had a plan in this draft, and to be aggressive and to trade up and risk their future picks. But they got 3 heck of a players right here, man. They got their quarterback, their number 1 quarterback on their board, like you said, and 2 absolute beasts in the trenches, man. So, I mean,
it's a good place to start. I mean, when you talk about how do you win football games, or how do you actually develop a roster, you start from the inside out. You get the trenches, and then obviously the most important individual position, the quarterback position. They've managed to do all of that. It's incredible. They've given up a lot, though, and to Drew's point, who the hell are the Giants throwing the football to? We're at the number 5 pick, the draft moving right along, and the Denver Broncos are on the clock. Had a conversation with GM at Front Row NFL, and they seem comfortable with Case Keenum, but they didn't rule out the fact that they might go quarterback here, depending on whether or not their guy was on the board. Only Sam Darnold has come off. That leaves Baker Mayfield, who has been linked to the Denver Broncos quite a bit. You obviously have Josh Rosen, even Josh Allen. And there's been whispers, dark horse whispers about Lamar Jackson. So we'll see what Denver does. Headley, what do you think Denver needs to do with this particular pick?
Yeah, I think the fall has gone too far. I think Josh Rosen was the number 1 quarterback in this draft. And like you said, they signed Case Keenum. He's more of a bridge quarterback, similar to like how Tyrod Taylor with the Cleveland Browns. So I think Josh Rosen's the best quarterback in this class, and I think that's the pick here.
You got anything to add, Drew?
I mean, what does Denver need, man? Didn't they just lose Keith Talib?
That's true.
They could use a cornerback here. Denzel Ward, maybe. Jairi Alexander, maybe. You know, a quarterback wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me because, you know, Case Keenum, you know, he did fall apart in the last game of the season when it counted the most. You know, obviously you don't want that as a GM or a coach, but you know, I'd be okay with Josh Rosen.
The pick is in, and it is quarterback Josh Rosen from UCLA. I know, gentlemen, I've spent a lot of time on www.couchpotatogm.com. He is the top-ranked quarterback on our big board. The most polished passer in this class, without question, plays from a prototypical style, 3-5-7 style drops. I like the fact that he's working out with Aaron Rodgers. I think the Broncos couldn't have done a better job in terms of managing to get a veteran so that you don't have to necessarily throw the future of your franchise into the fire immediately, but you get the quarterback, I think, who has the tools, the foundation to be successful in this NFL, in this league for a long time.
And you know, you don't have the full picture, obviously, with most college players, but I think in particular with Josh Rosen, you don't really have the full picture because his supporting cast wasn't that good.
Yes, they did need something to be desired.
You know, and I don't think his coach truly completely believed in him. He was taking shots at him earlier, you know, a couple of weeks ago, and you know,
say less, Jim Mora.
Hey, please. You know, he is a kid, but yeah, man, I'm okay with the pick. Like I said, man, it's and he's gonna be throwing to Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas. So he's got talent on the other side.
And the great thing here too is he doesn't have to come in right away and be the starter. You know, you got a veteran in Keenum. He can learn behind Keenum. I think, you know, at front row NFL, you know, did well for themselves. I didn't expect the quarterbacks to fall this far, but you know, I think that's an excellent pickup for Denver.
All right. We're now at pick number 6, and the Indianapolis Colts are on the clock. Gentlemen, what do we think about the Colts and ultimately what they need to do? They traded out of the 3rd overall pick prior to the draft, accrued some additional picks. Obviously, the Jets wanted to move up, but then they decided to just blow that whole thing up and acquire Odell Beckham. The Colts, they have a ton of holes here. Are we anticipating another move down here to acquire some more picks, or is there a guy on the board that you think the Colts just can't afford to pass up, Headley?
I think the best move would be to try to find a trade partner. There's still a couple quarterbacks on the board.
Sure.
Teams always try to move up to get quarterbacks. So, you know, I'll be calling Buffalo. I'll be calling Arizona, teams of that nature, just to see, you know, gauge their interest if they're trying to trade up. If I can't find a trade partner, I think they have so many holes. The Indianapolis Colts, just best player on their board. Draft the best player on the board, get a difference maker, and you know, improve either side of the football.
Yeah, I think there's a dearth of talent on that roster, and I tend to agree with that line of thinking. How about you, Drew?
I mean, for me, man, it's about the guy who you didn't have last year. You know, the guy who, you know, is going to start, I guess, the league year on the PUP list. You know, and that's Andrew Luck. You know, you know what your team looks like without him, man, and so I think you need to find protection for him. I know your defense.
Protection from what, though? Like a bad surgeon? Because I think that was a botched surgery.
It doesn't matter.
He's taking a lot of beating, don't get me wrong.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Needs protection, period.
Needs protection.
So what player are you looking at right there?
I mean, for me, you know, people are going to be upset and say that's crazy. You're passing up all these defensive players and things like that. But I'm going Isaiah Wynn, the most technically sound player in this draft outside of Quentin Nelson. Wow. I mean, he's a definition of technically sound, man.
Wow. Where are you playing Wynn? He has
we'll figure it out.
Positional
flexibility. No, we'll figure it out. I mean, you know, the league is saying, you know, hey, he needs to be moved inside to guard because, you know, he's not as tall. He's not 6'5", you know. But listen, in college he played guard and he played tackle. I don't really care. We'll figure it out. We just know we're going to make that phone call and get him in. That's if I'm the Colts.
Yeah, I definitely think guard or tackle. The Colts have a need for a guard or tackle. He could play right tackle opposite Costanzo and form, you know, that bookend, that bookend tackle.
All right. Well, the pick is in. And the Colts have selected safety Derwin James out of Florida State. Headley, I'm going to go directly to you. You're a resident Seminole. What do you think about this selection?
I love it. You know, it's an alpha pick. You know, what have you said about the Colts defense over the last couple seasons?
Marshmallowy soft.
We call him marshmallowy soft. You know, Derwin James is not marshmallowy soft. You know, he's a physical tone setter. I think he could improve this entire defense just from a leadership standpoint. They desperately need a leader. They just have a bunch of guys out there on defense. You know, put him next to Malik Hooker, make Malik Hooker play up high safety. Derwin can come into the box. He can be an extra linebacker on the field, you know, in certain situations. So I think, you know, he fits the Indianapolis Colts and what they're trying to do.
Interestingly enough, those Malik Hooker and Derwin James were your top 2 safeties over the last 2 draft classes. So certainly improving the back end. Problem is they don't have much of a pass rush. Drew, what do you think? What do you think about that particular selection?
I mean, I guess they're gonna be sending Derwin James to blitz too because
he can do that.
Yeah, he's a hell of a player at it. You know, if it's the best player on your board, you go for it. But I'm gonna reiterate, who's gonna be protecting
The franchise.
the franchise?
Yep.
Yeah. I think offensive line is a position where you could get it kind of later on. It's no top end talent, especially the tackle position. I agree with you. Isaiah Wynn is the second best offensive lineman in the draft, but I don't see him getting drafted within the first 15 picks. So maybe the Colts trade back up if they want him, or wait for another guy like a Will Hernandez. So, you know, it's still a lot of options. They have a lot of picks in this draft.
Okay. All right. The Tampa Bay Bucks are on the clock, and GM at FFD260 is at the controls. Where do you think the GM is going in terms of the Bucks? The Bucks have a number of question marks. That the first being, well, the biggest I should say, being their pass rush. They do get some help by adding a veteran in JPP. Headley, what's your thought process here at number 7, considering the players on the board?
These guys couldn't cover anyone last season. They couldn't get after the passer, and they couldn't cover anyone. They added JPP in that trade, so they have another pass rusher. I wouldn't be mad at another pass rusher,
sure,
whether it be interior or on the edge, or get a guy that can cover. Go get the best cornerback on your draft board, or even Micah Fitzpatrick. He's a guy that can come down and cover also. So, you know, there's a lot of options for the Buccaneers, but I'll focus on, like I said, the trenches, defensive line, or the secondary.
You know, you spoke about what they did in the offseason, you know, trading for JPP, which was a steal. And also, you know, they got Vinny Curry from the Super Bowl Eagles, you know, and they also added Bo Allen from Super Bowl Eagles. You know,
a little bit of a rotation.
Yeah, a little bit of a rotation. I mean, they're going from essentially a F+ defensive line to maybe a B. You know, what they have now, and Jerry McCoy has somebody or a couple of folks next to him he's never had. You know, so for me, I think that FFD 260 did a good job in, you know.
We didn't get to the pick yet, right?
No, not yet.
No,
he's talking about what they've done thus far.
I
stepped on that man. That man boy.
I think FFD 260 did a good job, you know, and getting all those pieces together and kind of using free agency as that way to fill holes. And so now they go into this draft, you know, maybe their thought process of there's no way we're going to get to Bradley Chubb, you know, without us trading up. So we're going to make sure this is taken care of before we actually enter the draft. And they did that. So, you know, for me, the biggest hole, truly for me, since you took care of the pass rush, is actually running back. Not the secondary. Because with the pass rush that you've now added, the secondary only gets better. They were one of the worst, if not the worst in the league. Your pass rush was surely the worst. You solidified that. Everything goes up from here.
So you feel comfortable with rolling out Grimes, Vernon Hargraves,
I'm not saying all that. I'm just saying with this particular pick, you can go get the next best running back.
All right,
that is a glaring need. Peyton Barber, you're a good running back, but I haven't seen you go 16 games, and right now I don't think I want to see you go 16 games without pairing you with someone else. A more talented player.
Well, let's take a look at the top running backs according to the CPGM's rankings. Your respective rankings, Headley and Drew. Drew, I know you favor Darius Guice. Headley, you actually have Ronald Jones over Darius Guice. Is this the time that you pull the trigger on a Darius Guice or Ronald Jones? In your opinion?
Personally, I wouldn't. You know, we talking about value right here, man. The running back position, you know, it's probably gonna be Saquon Barkley, and maybe another running back gets into the first round, but you definitely get a quality running back day 2, day 3. You know, we've seen it. We've seen the Alvin Kamaras, the Kareem Hunts of the world.
Sure.
So unless it's Saquon Barkley, Todd Gurley, Ezekiel Elliott type talent, which I don't think these other guys have, guys in Ronald Jones, you know, I wouldn't select a running back at all.
What about you, Drew? Are you pushing your chips to the middle of the table and grabbing Darius Guice here at 7?
I wouldn't be mad. I'd be okay with it. Darius Geis, I feel like is a guy who can change the Bucks. I mean, they went out and they've also got Ryan Jensen moving Marpet back to no, he's going from center to left guard. So now you solidified your left side of your line. I know there's haters out there of Donovan Smith, but he's had a carousel of left guards next to him, which has made his job even much harder.
Bro, he can't block the guy in front of him. Anyway, please continue.
The hate is real. You know, so and they're going to a power run scheme. Do you know what Darius Geis is?
Yes,
power runner. Yeah, power runner.
It's violent.
Violent. He's looking for you. Mm-hmm. He's looking for you over there.
You know, that's interesting. You bring up Darius Geis.
and the pinkish tank top. Mm-hmm. He's looking for you.
Darius is looking for you.
It's interesting you bring up Darius Geis because the Bucks drafted another running back in the first round inside the top 10 that ran sort of like Darius Geis, ran angry, but a little smaller back. I think his name was Cadillac. Is it the Is it Cadillac?
Yeah, and you know who that coach is? That coach that did that is no longer here.
Yeah, but I'm saying, wouldn't you be afraid of drafting the same type of smaller physical running back?
No, not at all. No. Darius Geis is a different guy.
All right. Well, look, the pick is in, and it is not a running back, gentlemen. It is a cornerback, foundational position in the NFL, and it's going to be Denzel Ward. And Drew, I want to start with you. There's been a lot of talk about how good this guy is, and he's as good as the defensive rookie of the year, Marshawn Lattimore, a season ago, who was the first cornerback to come off the board. He actually went to 12. Was a bit of a surprise, maybe being the 1 year production, injuries perhaps, but really terrific cornerback. Does Denzel Ward compare to Marshawn Lattimore? Do you hold them in the same regard, the same esteem?
In terms of maybe the fluidity.
The mirroring of the receivers.
Definitely.
Is that where it ends?
Pretty much. Marshawn is a bigger guy. He can get physical. The one thing I had, obviously, the question I had of Marshawn is when the run game's coming, he's making a business decision. Obviously, he's in the league now, and there are no issues with him. He's essentially
quite physical.
He was a damn good corner in every aspect of being a corner.
A little banged up.
A little banged up, but that's okay. Denzel Ward, though, man, he's a hell of a shadower. His biggest, I think, attribute or trait would be that he's fluid, man. He makes it look easy, man, and he can position his body to get to the ball. But again, he's a smaller guy, man. The Bucks have that on their squad. His name is Vernon Hargreaves right now. He's playing in the nickel spot. You have Brent Grimes also, who's small. So I guess they going with the small squad. Make some noise.
The size of the fight and the dog, though.
Yeah, man.
Is he a dog? Is Denzel Ward a dog?
I question Denzel Ward. The size, the physicality he plays with. He's definitely not Marshawn Lattimore.
Trey White, maybe.
I know a thing or two about corners.
Trey White?
No, he's not that either. My number one corner last year was Lattimore. My number two is Trey White. I nailed them both, and I'm telling you right now, Denzel Ward is not a top 10 talent in this draft. Wow. He's not even my number one corner in this draft.
Wow. Who is your number one corner?
Jair Alexander, Louisville, corner. The instincts, baby Ashanti Samuels Jr. Yeah. And
there might be a few people watching that don't know who Samuel is.
Ashanti,
look him up, man. Google, do your Googles, man.
Yeah. YouTube it.
The instincts, man.
Right after you watch this, YouTube it.
But Denzel Ward, I get the pick for the Bucks. They need another corner. Grimes is getting older. Hargraves, I don't think he could play outside. I think he needs to be in the slot.
I disagree with that.
I said it from the very beginning. He should be in the slot. So I think Denzel Ward is actually a better outside corner than Vernon Hargraves. But I also think that he should be in the slot also. So you guys have a bunch of small corners, and I think Brent Grimes is the only real true outside corner you guys have. I said you guys.
Yeah.
The Bucks. The Bucks have.
There you go. That works. All right. Chicago Bears and at Chai Ruxin DFS is on the clock. GM. The Bears, obviously, they went and got their quote unquote franchise quarterback in Mitchell Trubisky last year. Number 2 overall, despite only 1 year starting. They've made quite a few moves this offseason to really put some weapons around him, and Allen Robinson, bringing in Trey Burton. They're trying to put their young quarterback in a position of success. Drew, do you think that trend continues with this pick at 8 overall?
I mean, you got plenty of receivers out there, man. You got a DJ Moore. You know, you have a Calvin Ridley. You have a James Washington. You have the number one receiver. You know, my number one receiver, Michael Gallup. You have an opportunity to aid in Mitchell Trubisky's development, maturation.
Yep.
Yeah, and you know, that's kind of what you want to do. You don't want to end up like another team, the Carolina Panthers, who, you know, have done, in my opinion, a lackluster job in doing that. But I hope that's what they do, you know, because you have two good, solid running backs. Defense is coming along.
What are you doing at 8 overall? Do you think there's any receiver, the value at receiver is there for a top 10 pick here?
Yeah, I think there's a guy named Calvin Ridley that you know, a lot of people are down on, especially after the combine. There's the Sparky numbers, but I think he's a top 10 talent at receiver. But if I'm the Chicago Bears, you know, they remind me of a lot of what the Philadelphia Eagles did last season. Carson Wentz coming into his second year, and they added a lot of weapons. They added Alshon Jeffrey. They also added Torrey Smith. They drafted Jay Ajayi. And it seems like the Bears, where Charles Nagy, he's over there now, so he's from that Andy Reid tree, just like Doug Peterson in Philadelphia.
Yep.
And they added Allen Robinson. They added Trey Burton. They added all these offensive weapons around Mitchell Trubisky to set him up for success. But the main difference between those two teams is the Eagles got that nasty defense, especially in that front seven.
Absolutely.
So I think Chicago follows the same blueprint and get somebody that can help him in the front seven, man.
Got anybody in mind?
Roquan Smith.
Oof.
That's one guy that's at the top of my list.
That's not his name.
That's not his name?
No, that's not his name. His name is the Teleporter.
Oh, yeah.
Nightcrawler.
AKA the Teleporter. Even Tremaine Edmonds, I wouldn't be mad at that pick. The best pass rusher on the board here is Harold Landry.
Go for it.
Yeah, the best pass rusher left on the board here is Harold Landry. So, you know, I think that's an option for them as well.
All right. Well, the pick is in, and you're right. They do address the front seven. Edge rusher Harold Landry. Harold Landry, obviously, 2 years ago, incredible season. I believe in excess of 20 sacks, if I'm not mistaken. We're pushing 20 sacks last season, or two seasons ago. Struggled with some injuries this year, but he's a proven commodity in terms of getting after the passer. Drew, what do you think about that selection?
It's a good fit, man. And you know, Harold was getting a lot of hate, man, this past season because people felt like maybe he was not injured, you know, and he was just kind of milking it.
A little clowny?
Little clowny. Hey, man, you're in the league now. All that goes away. You're taken care of. I like the fit, man. And hey, man, maybe somebody was in the Eagles organization, or one of the Bears people were in the Eagles organization and snuck in there and stole the blueprint, man, because they're following it to a T, like Headley said.
Headley, you mentioned Harold Landry here at this particular pick in terms of dressing that front seven, getting after the passer is the name of the game. What do you think about Landry's prospects, particularly in the Bears defense?
I love it, man. They play a 3-4 defense. Put him outside when you let him Floyd on one side, Harold Landry on the other side. Both those guys can get after the quarterback. Yep. Definitely, I love this pick.
Bookends.
All right.
Bookends.
The San Francisco 49ers and at Eric Jag are on the clock, and you know, obviously the headline in San Francisco was the trade mid-season or so to acquire Jimmy Garoppolo for a second-round pick. I know some in the New England community are lamenting that particular trade. I think that may have been forced upon Bill Belichick by Tom Brady and Robert Kraft. At any rate, Jimmy Garoppolo went on to go 5-0, if I'm not mistaken. Didn't lose a game to end the season once he was inserted into the lineup. Very excited about what he brings to the table. Is it time to get him some weapons?
Yeah, I mean, what do they have over there right now? Pierre Garçon and is it Marcus Goodwin right now? You know, they can add a couple more pieces. And
Carlos Hyde is no longer there. They have some question marks along their offensive line. You know, you just extended a guy who has a total of what, 7, 8 starts in his career. I think you definitely want to put some offensive pieces around him. But again, the question that I want to ask you, Headley, is the value there at this point?
I think so. I said earlier, I think Calvin Ridley is a top 10 talent in this draft. You know, that would be my pick here to pair him with, you know, Marcus Goodwin. He could learn behind a Pierre Garçon.
Sure.
And he could play with Jimmy Garoppolo. San Francisco definitely has been building the team the right way. Their defense specifically, it's time to address the offensive side of the ball and get Jimmy Garoppolo some help.
You know, Kyle Shanahan, you know, he's piecing it together on the offensive side, right? We talked about it, and we forgot a guy, man. We got a guy they got in free agency, man. Jarrett McKinnon, man.
Yeah.
Well, who is he from? Who is he going to be? That is he the turtle, Devontae Freeman, or is he Tevin Coleman in that?
I think his skill set's probably more Tevin Coleman.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to throw that in.
So you say they might need a Devontae Freeman now?
I might need a Devontae Freeman.
Yeah, I would never take Devontae Freeman in the top 10.
Wow. Shots.
The pick is in. The pick is in, and they do not go offense. They actually select Tremaine Edmonds, linebacker out of Virginia Tech. Headley, what's your thought process here? I know we've talked about this particular prospect quite a bit. You think there's a little boom or bust potential here, despite the fact that he has so many physical traits?
Yeah, he's a big, fast, strong. He gets to the ball carriers quickly. He has one of the top potentials in this entire draft, but you know, at times he just overruns things. Sometimes lack of awareness. Sometimes he doesn't have a good feel for the position, which kind of scares me a bit, but not as much as if it was a different position. This is the linebacker position, and you want guys to kind of read and react and close quickly. So I think Tremaine Edmonds was a good pick here for the San Francisco 49ers. They got Reuben Foster, put them next to each other, and it could be lights out. It could be night for a lot of running backs.
Do you have Reuben Foster? Like, do you really have Reuben Foster?
Legitimate question.
Yeah, that's true.
For me,
that may have predicated this selection to a point.
how the hell do you not get the teleporter? How do you not get Nightcrawler? How do you not get Legion? How do you not get Blink? If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm talking Marvel. How do you not get Raekwon Smith from Georgia? Oh, is it? What? Oh, my bad. Roquan Smith. How do you not get Roquan Smith from Georgia? How do you watch the film and go with Edmonds? You went with potential over
Production.
You talking to you at Eric E. J? You calling him out?
Let me locate him.
Circle that name.
No, I'm talking to Nurse Tuggy.
Oh, that's Nurse Tuggy, baby?
Am I on there? Am I wrong?
No, that's Eric E. J.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
You're wrong. Nurse Tuggy.
I'm sorry. You're up next, Nurse Huggy. Nurse Tuggy.
There you go. Words.
Eric
Words
Jag.
are hard.
Words are hard. Eric Jag, what you doing? I need you to explain it to me. Why it is that you went and got Tremaine Edmonds? How is he so much better? I want to know. I missed something.
They're looking at that upside. They're looking at that size. They're looking at all of that.
You have that already with one player on the field, if he's on the field, and Reuben Foster. No. You need the other guy, the eraser, the guy who's gonna make up for mistakes down the field, up the field.
They could have very well had a potentially that Patrick Willis, NaVorro Bowman thing all over again.
So you're saying they don't have it with Tremaine?
I'm not certain. I'm not certain. I would feel more comfortable about that. I'm more confident in Roquan Smith's prospects at the NFL level, despite the fact that Edmonds has an immense ceiling. I think Smith is, as of today, a better player. So
I agree.
Headley, Tremaine Edmonds is a young guy, really young guy.
Wow.
Do you foresee any challenges considering his age entering the NFL?
You know, you're 19 years old, 20 years old with millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. You know, you could lose yourself. You're the man, and you know, there's going to be a lot of cousins and nieces and aunties and uncles. They
never heard of.
They never heard of her. You know, best friends from third grade.
He's moving out to Cali, too.
In Cali, so, you know, yeah, there is some could be some struggles attached to that. So, you know, you just have to make sure he hangs around the right people, have the right nucleus. Hopefully his family is close to him, maybe. I know his brother's also in this draft also, Terrell Edmonds. So, you know, we'll see.
All right. Rounding out the top 10, the Oakland Raiders are on the clock, and the pick is already in. It looks like Nurse Tuggy didn't waste any time. Drew, you mentioned it before. They select Roquan Smith out of Georgia. I'm sure they're ecstatic about this pick. Drew, what's your thoughts on Roquan?
I'm going to say it again, man. He's an outstanding player. You know, this guy doesn't shed blocks. He doesn't go under blocks. He doesn't go over blocks. He teleports through the blocks. If you don't know what I'm talking about, turn his highlights on, turn his game film on. You're going to see it either way. You know, it's a good fit. It's something that they actually needed. You know, he's a leader on the field. And to be honest with you, at every level, the Raiders need a player. You know, and I would imagine this is the best player on the board at this point. And if they didn't get this guy, I'm not sure. I'm looking, and I'm not sure where else they were going. You know, so I mean, you know, I know John Gruden's the coach over there and everything. And, you know, he's bringing in the oldest of the old. But you know, Nurse Tuggy, you told John to sit down. I got this, and you got the right player, man.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree this was the right player for these guys. You know, it's been a couple seasons. I thought they would draft a linebacker early. You know, they passed on that position, and you know they got their guy. They got their guy, Roquan Smith. Yeah, I think this is the guy, man. The teleporter. He's teleporting to the ball carriers, and he's just gonna add intense, physical. He's a leader. He's gonna be an alpha dog out here for the Oakland Raiders, which defense has struggled, especially their pass defense. So he could do it all. He could get into the coverage, or he could attack the ball carrier. So.